If you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. That is not true.
I'm Gary Sernack, and I am co-founder and head brewer of Bhramari Brewing Company in Asheville, North Carolina. I moved to Asheville with my pregnant wife in 2009, January 2009, and came to Asheville because we saw that it was an up-and-coming scene. I was in the culinary world at the time, and there was a bit of a burgeoning culinary scene here. You know, I was a home brewer at the time. And I guess the pieces just kind of really fell into place with Bhramari. I quit cooking in around 2012 and started writing the business plan for Bhramari in 2014. And we opened our doors January 16th. My business partner is a fantastic chef, and we met each other cooking here in Asheville together. Pretty much every day is a beer pairing for us. Josh was a home brewer, and he thinks about food through the lens of a brewer. And I'm a brewer that thinks about beer through the lens of food. So very, very much so, our beers are culinary inspired, which lends themselves really, really well to beer pairings. We use local ingredients as often as they're in season, both for our food and for our beer. My background as a chef, I have forged these relationships with local farmers, and I very much use those relationships when crafting recipes for brewing. So we chose to use some local honey as well as some local lemongrass from the Asheville area. We used Haw Creek Honey, which is a local wildflower honey. And then Willow Springs and Mars Hill, our friends, they grow lemongrass for us every year. They're fantastic people, and they make such good stuff. They have such good energy when they drop stuff off, and they provide a lot of produce for the kitchen as well. So, we get local ingredients from local farmers as often as we can, and I think there's, it makes a huge difference when you're actually feeding back into the community, and the quality of ingredients is as high as it possibly can, and I think that translates into every sip. Having access to so many different parts of this beer community locally is truly a blessing, and it creates a lot of convenience. So White Labs being right down the street, we pretty much have yeast at our fingertips, which a lot of breweries don't have that luxury. So we're pretty privileged in that way. Plus, they're great. We've done a number of projects with them since they've come into town. We've brewed several beers with them, and they're great neighbors. They're good friends, and we're happy they're in town for sure.
And then the last two brewers, went down kind of the path of the hazy craze, and using 066 London Fog and 067 Coastal Haze blend. 066 is more of, if you want to say, what people would think of as a traditional hazy beer, big and juicy, a lot of flavor. And then Gary's just going big with a double IPA.
Surprise.
Yeah, exactly. And he's using 066. So you've got the double IPA, so you've got a higher level of alcohol. You're going to have a higher ABV. And then you're going to have the sweetness from the yeast. So we're going to, again, balance really well. So I'm really excited when we get to the end that we get, I think consumers are going to get to see the impact of yeast, the impact of local ingredients, because they're using, again, 4 different yeast strains and pairing it with the recipe that they have in a really interesting way.
I think about 80% of the malt that we use here at Bhramari is sourced from Riverbend. So we're really, hyper local, definitely into the craft malt in a big way. Those guys are great as well. I was getting grain from them as a home brewer, and then it made sense to utilize them as soon as we were making large scale batches of beer.
When we get to the topic of IPAs, obviously hops are front and center, but we still need a malt backbone with these beers to give them a nice sense of balance. So, they're going to need some of the same building blocks, a nice rich base malt that's not too dark in color, and then they're going to accentuate that mouthfeel component with some chit malt and some Appalachian wheat so that they've got a really nice medium body to back up that hop presence. So it's not going to be a bone dry West Coaster by any stretch of the imagination. So they've really gotten a great feel for using our malts in that style to really give them a nice balance, improve the drinkability of those beers. So super pumped to see how they turn out.
Oh man, it's everywhere. Inspiration for beer is everywhere. If you have your feelers out for it, I feel like you can pull inspiration from anything. So, I'll have a meal that will inspire me. I'll hear a song that will inspire me. I'll have a conversation that will inspire me. Sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and a dream will inspire me. So, like I said, if your feelers are out there, there's inspiration everywhere. And I just try to recognize when it's there, kind of use that in as creative of a way as I possibly can. We've made quite a few weird beers. Definitely, pushing the boundaries in a lot of different ways. One that seems to come up in a lot of conversations is we make a pizza beer where we throw a little bit of pizza into a double dry hopped hazy pale ale called Pizza Ships. We do a rainbow sherbet beer called Unicorn Death Wish where we put like a literal ton of rainbow sherbet into the fermenter. And I think the key in the success of it being weird is, at the end of the day, if it tastes good, you can get weird and then it be kind of gross, and then what's the point, I love bringing all these seemingly odd flavor combinations together and then having them work harmoniously. And then I think that is like an element of surprise for the people that drink our beer. They're like, there's no way that this can be good, or like, that's really weird and intriguing. But then when they taste it, they're like, oh, okay. Not only is it odd, it's delicious. So I think we sit in that pocket pretty well. I think it is one of the things that sets us apart. I think another thing that sets us apart is the variety that we have. So, we can do perfectly executed, crisp German-style lagers, as well as a, sour double milkshake IPA. And so I think our palate is pretty wide, and the notches we have on our tool belt are pretty wide as well. So we have everything from a pretty expansive barrel-aged sour program to sweet pastry stouts. So we're kind of all over the map. And I think that kind of gives something for everybody. There's a seat for every ass here for Bhramari. I love bringing a concept to fruition. I love the creative process. I love it going from being in my head to being in a glass. That's something I loved as a chef, and it's something that I continue to love as a brewer. Working with the entire staff to kind of bring everything to fruition and bring it to the customer. And when they get that product and they're like, oh man, this is great, that's it's a pretty great feeling for sure. And that's one of the things that got me into brewing, is seeing things that just don't exist on the shelves and wanting to create those things, and seeing flavor combinations that people aren't exploring yet, and really trying trying to hammer those flavors together. We all are competitors, but we all work together to raise the tides of craft beer. And I think that's something that's pretty unique and amazing about this industry as a whole is the collaborative nature of craft beer. I don't know that there's another industry like it, and it's amazing to be a part of it. And being able to have the relationships that I've made with other breweries throughout, the country and in Asheville locally. So this project was, something that we almost do on a regular basis. It's just collaborating with each other, and so it just felt natural. We all know each other. We've all brewed beer together in some capacity. It didn't feel foreign at all. It just felt like just like hanging out with friends.